Good afternoon, Kitchissippi. It is Saturday, November the 2nd. This is a video version of the 411th Kitchissippi Weekly Ward Newsletter. My usual reminder, there's lots more information, links to websites for the topics that we'll be discussing today in the weekly newsletter, to which you can subscribe at kitchissippiward.ca. Remembrance Day is coming up very quickly now. I wanted to draw residents' attention to the memorial banner program that is implemented here on Richmond Road. The Westboro Village BIA has been working with the Royal Canadian Legion here in Westboro to commemorate various individuals who fought and served in the different wars with which Canada has been involved. Their pictures are on banners up and down Richmond Road, and there's a lot more information about who those individuals were, the contribution that they've made to our country on the Westboro Village BIA's website. Take a look at that. I've got a link in the newsletter. I am hosting pop-up office hours next week. Those were going to be on Monday, November the 4th. They'll be held from 12 until 3 at the Cupcake Lounge. That is at 324 Richmond Road. Come on by. Pop-up office hours are an opportunity to come by anytime during those hours, no appointment. Chat with me one-on-one about whatever things Kitchissippi are on your mind. Well, I think a last reminder for my ward forum that is coming up on November the 7th. I've got Sonia Bebbington, who is the CEO of the Ottawa Public Library, coming to deliver a presentation on the new Atisoke Central Library. There will be a town hall. There are community groups, civil society groups. Should be a very informative evening, and of course lots of time for questions and answers with me. That's going to be at Bayview Yards on November the 7th. From the doors will open at 6:30 p.m. It looks like we're going to have lots of room, so if you want to dispense with the obligation to register, great. Of course, we would love to know if you are coming by. Capture your name and contact info for any follow-up information that we might subsequently send out. The Committee of Adjustment should be busy this week on November the 6th. A number of applications that I've talked about in previous videos, but for which I now have the city planning staff comments. At 451 Roosevelt, the owner is seeking to subdivide the property into two separate parcels of land and to permit a reduced rear yard landscape buffer for the conversion of the existing dwelling. City planning staff have asked for an adjournment on this one. It looks like the developer may have missed two required variances, so the city will ask for an adjournment. I presume that will be granted. At 551 Edison, the owner is seeking to subdivide the property into two separate parcels of land for the construction of a new detached dwelling. The detached dwelling that is currently on the property will remain. City planning staff have expressed no concerns with that application. At 433 Everett, the owners are seeking to permit a detached dwelling with a front yard parking space and a portion of the covered porch projecting into the required front yard. City staff have expressed some concerns. Specifically, they've said they have concerns with variance A to permit parking in the front yard because of the urban design guidelines for low-rise infill housing. Parking should be located in the interior side yard or rear yard to provide more soft landscaping and maintain the neighborhood character. And finally, on the committee agenda at 455 Dawson, that hearing is going to resume as the owner seeks to permit reduced lot areas for the construction of a two-story semi-detached dwelling containing 6 units. City planning staff have expressed no concerns with the application. On Remembrance Day, November the 11th, there is a very well-attended ceremony at the Westboro Cenotaph at Byron, just west of Golden near Broadview. There is a parade that will start here at the Legion. It starts around 1:30 or so. We still need volunteers to make sure that that parade is going to be able to move ahead. We close a number of intersections. I've contracted with police to make sure that the street is absolutely properly closed, but we do need some volunteers to supervise those intersections. If you can help from roughly 1:30 until 3 p.m., please drop me a line at jeff.leeper@ottawa.ca. A few community notes for you this week. Devonshire has partnered with Colin White, we all love Colin, for a selection of art and clothing that is a school fundraiser. Details in the newsletter. And you can also, that's Devonshire, you can support Connacht's holiday fundraiser by buying wreaths coffee and chocolates. Again, there's information in the newsletter. And another reminder about the Housing with Heart concert that's going to happen on November the 16th at All Saints Westboro. That is in support of multi-faith housing initiatives, Dream LeBreton initiative to build some affordable units at LeBreton Flats. So take a look at there. There's information about how you can buy tickets. It's a very busy week coming up at City Hall. The first meeting will be kind of a rare Tuesday meeting of the Planning and Housing Committee. We've got a busy agenda with Kitchissippi items this week. There is going to be the consideration of the 10 Garrison Street proposal. That's for a 3-story low-rise apartment building. I've indicated I'm largely supportive of that. I know local residents are concerned about traffic. I assume we'll see some opposition come out to speak to committee. The uniform development at the end of the street here at 335 Roosevelt is seeking to take density that they were allowed on their land and put it on top of one of the towers, because the city has come in post-zoning and taken land from the developer, requiring a rework of the site. That land will be turned into a park. And for those who are interested, I know there have been some discussions around, is it really worthwhile for the city to take that land and turn it into a park? I have to say, R.L. Crane Park that has just been built on Byron, just west of Kirkwood, has been a delight to watch. It's a perfect hot lot, very heavily used. I have to assume that this park would be very similar to used. And also in our ward, the 8-story tower that's proposed for the Laundryland at 424 Churchill is going to be in front of us for consideration. I was largely supportive of that. An 8-story tower seems exactly right to put there. However, I wanted to make sure that before we approve that zoning, that we are able to build the protected intersection at the corner of Churchill and Byron that I'm looking for. The city is taking some land to ensure that we're able to build that. The zoning is moving ahead. I expect to be supportive of that. And then finally, of interest to this ward will be consideration of the new delegated authority for staff over minor rezonings. This is a discussion that I've had a lot with staff over the past several weeks, a lot with the community as well. I'm actually very comfortable that the delegated authority is not going to be a backdoor for developers to go from 3 stories to 4 stories, 4 stories to 5 stories in the low-rise neighborhoods. Happy to have Stephanie talk more about that if you want to drop her a line, but I am comfortable that we can approve this without unintended consequences, and I am always I'm pleased to see that the councillor will always have the ability to lift delegated authority over these and force a vote at Planning Committee. And we're also going to have the Lincoln Field secondary plan. That's a dense development right there at Lincoln Field Station on the Kitchissippi-Megan at Carling Avenue. I'm sure we'll see some discussion and debate about that one. And then on Wednesday, the Finance and Corporate Services Committee meets jointly with the Planning and Housing Committee. We have a pretty substantial agenda around housing. There is the long-range financial plan for housing, the affordable housing capital strategy, as well as updates to the vacant unit tax. It'll be a very detailed discussion, I'm sure. I think one of the points that people are going to want to talk about is last year's budget saw an increase in our capital contribution from the previous year's $15 million to $30 million. That was accomplished almost entirely by pulling down our reserves. That's not sustainable. The long-range financial plan for housing, or the capital plan for housing, calls on the city to establish a new baseline that will go up in a guaranteed way year over year over year, to then be topped up with proceeds from the vacant unit tax. It's a more prudent way to go than these political yo-yos every year. I'm largely supportive of what I've read so far. Same day, the Finance and Corporate Services Committee is going to meet. Pretty relaxed agenda. In our ward, we're going to be considering the Heritage Community Plan grant for the building that's now going up at 70 Richmond. Some folks may remember we used to have community improvement plans. One of them went to a Porsche dealership. Those have been transformed into helping affordable housing and heritage projects move ahead. 70 Richmond will be among those if we pass it. The Agriculture and Rural Affairs Committee is going to meet meet on November the 7th. They're going to consider the same changes to the site plan bylaw and same delegation of minor rezonings to staff bylaws that we'll be considering. They're also receiving a information previously distributed, or an answer basically to the question around what is normal farm practices. Interesting reply from staff. Normal farm practices are decided on a case-by-case basis, and there's no upfront definition of that. And then finally, the Built Heritage Committee is going to meet on Tuesday, November 12th. There's an application to alter St. Bridget's Church. The 70 Richmond Community Grant will also be on the agenda of that meeting. And then I'm pleased to see that the building where Orestes is right now, many of you remember Tony's Shoe Repair at 1121 Wellington, is proposed to be designated. That's good news. And also there are designations proposed for 8 Robert Kemp Road, 152 Metcalfe, 66 Queen, and 249 Broadview. 249 Bronson. I have all the link to all of those agendas with all of the associated documents in the newsletter, through which you can subscribe again at kitchissippiward.ca. Kitchissippi, it is a busy newsletter. I appreciate your taking the time with it. Thanks for watching, and have a great week.